Okay. Who's got YouTube on? Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. It's a struggle stream today, y'all, but we are here. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Let me pull up these comments. Hello, Miss Michelle Smith, Rosemary Dean, Monica Springfield, Mrs. She Said, "Hey, girl." We got a great show for you guys tonight. So the topic is should wives should wives go on girl trips? Now, most women that I talk to about this topic, you guys, most women would agree that wives should be able to go on girls trips, and I was one of those women who believe that, of course, we should definitely be able to go on girls trips. And y'all, hold on, where's my mind at right now? I just started the show. I didn't even introduce anybody, and then they off camera, but I'm gonna introduce them anyway. We have family values. I think it to my right or to my left. I don't know how you guys are seeing it. She's having some technical difficulties, but hopefully she'll be joining us soon. And then we have Miss Ty at the bottom. Say hello, Miss Ty. You're on mute.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. I'm ready for this conversation. This should be good.
Yeah, me too. We have another wifey joining us. She's running a little behind, so we'll add her in later. So yes, guys. So as I was saying, I too was one of those women who believed that, of course, whether you're single or whether you're married, like, women should always be able to go on girls trips and have that girl time. So short story. My friend came over. She came over around, I want to say maybe 9 or 10 o'clock at night, right? She had put the kids to bed. Her husband was at home with the kids. And, we were just catching up, and we were, having some drinks, and conversation went kind of long. It was about maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. And her husband started texting her upset, like, why do you think you can just stay out so late? And what kind of wife, stays out this late? So they're texting back and forth. And I'm like, oh no, girl, like, go handle your business. Like, clearly, he's upset. But I'm thinking in my mind, she's at like a friend's house. I wonder, like, why would he feel upset? It's not like we went out to dinner or like went out to a club or something. And it's like, I felt like we were in the safety of like a home, and we weren't far away from her house. So I got her out of there, and I tried to give her some encouragement, like, just try to talk to him and, just try to smooth things over. Boom, got her out. Next day, I called my dad to talk to him about it. I said, Dad, like, what do you think about that? Like, do men feel a way, like, if we leave if you're married, if you're a wife and you leave the house at night, and you go over to a friend's house, I can see if it was a club, but if we go to a friend's house, is this something, do you think that this is like common thinking among men? And my dad told me that, yeah, men don't really like it when their wives leave at night and stay out at night. He said that he didn't like it. He said it's something that men won't really say because out of fear of being called insecure and controlling, like those shaming tactics. So they'll just like let it ride. So I thought, okay, well, Dad, so if men have a problem with women going out at night, oh, 1 second, y'all. Miss Guinea, you ready? Put a 1 up if you're ready. Okay, I'm gonna add Miss Guinea to the stream. Hey, girl.
Hey, y'all.
I love the hair.
Thank you. I just got it done.
Yeah, it looks cute. I love it. So I was telling the people watching the story about my friend and how she came over and how her husband was upset that she stayed so late. Mm-hmm. So I'm at the part where I call my dad the next day and I'm asking him about it. Like, is this common thinking among men? Do men not like it when their wives go out at night? And he confirmed that it's something that men don't like, but because of the shaming, they'll just let it ride. And so I said, well, Dad, if men don't like when and go out at night, how do they feel when there's a girl trip, when women leave the state with their friends? Like that's like multiple nights that they're spending away from the home. And my dad said he said two words. He said, "It's nonsense." And I said, "Dad, so we not supposed to go on girls trips?" And he said, "For the most part, no." But men are afraid to speak up because men, especially good men, they want to be known as they want to have good qualities. They want to be known as noble, good men. But it's hard to be known as that, if you're labeled controlling and insecure, So to avoid the shaming, to avoid those labels, they'll just let it ride. So after talking to my dad about that, I talked to my husband about it. My husband confirmed it. And I'm like, "Babe, you did what?" Because my husband never told me that it was inappropriate or unacceptable. So in our marriage, I went on one trip, and that was with my mom and my daughter. It was like a mother-daughter trip. And I never thought in my mind that, okay, is there something like wrong with that? So he confirmed that, yeah, it's a thing, but I don't want to be controlling or insecure, whatever those labels are. So he doesn't want to control me. So he's going to let me do what I want to do. But the question is what does he think about it? What does he really feel on the inside about it? I talked to my dad's best friend about it. He confirmed it. There were some guys at the job that I was working at that I talked about it to. They confirmed it. So I thought, oh my God, is this a thing that men feel inside, but they're just not telling us? So that's how I became woke on this whole girls trip thing. It started with a situation that happened with my friend and her husband getting upset because she stayed out. And then it made me start to dig and try to find the answers to this. So that's how I found out that girls trips might not be such a great idea if you're married. So I want to get your thoughts on it. And I'll start with you, Ms. Ty. How do you feel about girls trips? Are you ready?
Get on mute. Yeah, why you gotta start with me first?
Okay, well, we'll start with Miss Kenny first. We'll start with you. Okay, Miss Kenny. And then we'll come to you, Miss Ty. How do you feel about girls trips and why?
Well, I'm sure you'll get into this later about last week's panel and the craziness that ensued. But what I first thought last week, I was gonna say, oh yeah, I don't mind a girls trip. I think it just depends on the company that you keep. But after hearing you and Family Values and Blooming Ebony, it really kind of opened my perspective to that. About the safety aspect of it, of your husband doesn't really know where you are, or even if he knows the general idea, like you're just not really safe with just a bunch of women and no men around. And then the appearance of being up for grabs, regardless if you're wearing a ring or if you're with other married women, it just doesn't send a message of like strong fidelity. So I've definitely changed my opinion on it. I would last week I would have said, oh, if it's married women, if it's like some kind of church conference or something. But now I'm more like, well, if your husband doesn't like it, then just try to stay away from it altogether. But so yeah, that's where I am now.
Okay. And I want to add too that I like women like you that it's like you have an opinion, but you're not so stuck on it to where it can't change, because we all find out new information and it's like you're not willing to change your opinion if you found out something new that you didn't consider,
Right.
So I can really appreciate that. I want to let me pin some comments.
Oh yeah, they're going off in the chat.
I know. Some men may have a mindset that even if she's not with another man, she may be intimate with another woman for extreme thought. Yeah, those are some thoughts.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, but she said I wouldn't be comfortable at all unless it's with my mom. Veronica Washington says, my husband does not care. The fact that I was checking in so much got on his nerves. He told me to enjoy the time away. Okay. The purple elephant, I can understand girlfriends, but spending time with your mom and daughter on a trip is an issue. Wow. Actually, I mean, it's not that it was an issue. It's just that he didn't want to be labeled that. Like if he were to, like, say if your man says, you know, well, I'll just come too. Not that you can't go, but I don't mind coming. Then it's like, whoa, like, hold on, you know, this is like a girl's thing, you know, no men, you know, so they just kind of stay silent. They won't like express how they really feel. Maybe some men feel that way because of insecurities, or they think it's almost like bachelorette weekend, but maybe. And I would ask, like, you know, do we understand what an insecurity is? Me and my husband, we actually looked up the definition of the word insecurity, and it's not as bad as women make it seem, you know? But when a word is weaponized, it's like when you hear it, you automatically think that you're being attacked. It's kind of like the word ignorance, you know, for the longest, the word ignorant, like calling somebody ignorant, like you weaponized a word, and people never thought of like what the actual definition of ignorance is. It just means you lack knowledge. It doesn't even mean you're stupid. You know, it just means you're lacking knowledge in this area. Rosemary Dean says, my husband and I always took our trips together. Rosemary, I just love you. I know I say it all the time, but I just love her so much. She's so old school. That's how I'm gonna be like Rosemary Dean when I get older. Like when I get her age, she sets a wonderful example. Thank you, Rosemary. Michelle Smith says, my husband doesn't mind as he knows where I'm at. He goes out with his friends as well. So I want to talk about that, and then Ms. Ty, I want to get your thoughts too, because a lot of women will say that, oh, my husband doesn't mind, he's cool with it. You know, I've been on plenty of girl trips. But remember, guys, what my dad said, and I'm also going to play a clip from the panel from last week, what a Black Man Unfiltered was saying. A lot of men will say yes, but deep down, they're not okay with it. They won't speak up because they don't want to be shamed. They don't want to be labeled as things that they're not. So they won't say anything. They'll just say, okay, great, go, you know, have fun, you know. So keep that in mind. For those of you who are saying, my man don't care, my husband don't care, just keep that in mind. You know,
they don't want to argue.
Exactly. Now, this is coming from men. Remember, guys, this is coming from men. It's coming from my husband. It's coming from my dad. The man on the Black Man Unfiltered, when I play his clip, you'll hear men say that just because he says yes, it doesn't mean he's okay with it. So I'm not saying that your husband is not okay with it, but just keep that in mind, because you should walk away from this saying to yourself, like, well, I wonder if my husband's one of the ones that, you know, is really deep down not okay. Your mind should be pondering, like, you know. Okay, so Ms. Ty, what do you how do you feel about girls' trips and why?
Well, you know, I don't do humans, so I don't do girl trips.
I can't tell. You seem like a girl's girl.
No.
Okay, I read it wrong.
Miss She said, can tell you, oh, I do humans, baby. Okay. But in talking with Bay, he did say that it's more of a protection thing for him. You know, because, you know, they're the protective providers, and being that, you know, you're going somewhere out of the country or long distance where he's not able to protect you from things. And I think one of you guys just said something about it, you know, even though you're there with a group of married women, other people can perceive you not be married, even if you have your ring on your finger. You know, so then you have to worry about, you know, the men hitting on you and all that kind of stuff. And the other thing is, usually girls go on girls' trips when it's a bunch of single girls. You know what I mean? So me, you're asking a married woman to go on a girls trip with a bunch of single girls who you single girls gonna do what single girls do. So why would a married woman go with the single girls to do what single girls do?
Right.
So so I'm not a fan of it at all. Even so, but basically it's more a protection thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said a lot of men will say okay, just like you were just saying, but then in the back of their mind it's like, is this not okay? And then it's a lot of times it's about your friends, period. They will evaluate the type of friends that you have. So because they always say birds of the feather flock together. So if you got ratchet girlfriends or hoish friends and all that kind of stuff, or friends that gets in trouble all the time, that kind of thing, they will say, I don't want you to be around those type of people. So yeah.
Okay. And you brought up protection, like with all that's going on today, especially like with sex trafficking, you hear so many stories of women being abducted only to never be heard from again, especially like in other countries.
Yeah.
So, that may be something that's going through his mind. Like, hey, I'm all the way back here in Florida, in Georgia. Like, if my wife just goes off to the Dominican Republic and I just never hear from her again, like you have no idea how that would feel.
Exactly.
There's that fear of being a man and not being able to protect the woman that you vowed to protect, and you're just at home. Like, as a man, you have to feel so powerless. And there are stories like that don't get told as much. Maybe you don't hear about it as much, but it happens every day. Women leave the country every day only to never come back.
And not only leaving the country, I have an example where a young lady, they traveled from Texas, I think, to Florida with her friends, and somebody assaulted. Well, they ended up leaving her on the side of the road because they got into an argument, and she ended up getting hit by 3 cars or something like that and died.
What?
So yeah, so
Wow.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Man, but a lot of women kind of have this mentality like, yeah, I mean, I know it happens. It's just not going to happen to me. Like,
right, exactly. Yeah.
Never think it's going to happen to you. Now, family values, I'm so glad you could join us.
You made it back.
Perspective.
I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. We all have struggle streams, so you're fine. I really enjoyed your perspective on the panel we were on last week, and I know that sometimes when there's so many people on, that one person you're enjoying, maybe you're not able to hear everything because you got people cutting in. So what do you think about girls trips and why?
Well, honestly, I think it's inappropriate for a married woman to seek out to do something like that. I believe it's very selfish. And it kind of makes a statement to your husband that your feelings and and what you think is best for me doesn't matter. Um, a lot of women think that their husbands or boyfriends are okay with it, but they've never actually asked.
Right.
They're more so, oh, we're gonna do this, and it's more like she's already made the decision, but she would like you to be okay with it, and they don't really leave that open dialogue. Well, I would really like to do this, but I haven't talked to you about how you felt about this, and really made him feel like he was in a safe space to be able to be vulnerable and honest with her. Because a lot of women will, oh, you're too controlling. I can't deal with this. And would you want me to be in a cage, and all this shaming language that will make him start to reevaluate himself. Like, am I wrong for feeling this way? A lot of men are gaslighted. Yeah, gaslighted to even think that their nature is wrong, and it's not wrong. It's in there. It's okay for a man to want to protect you and keep you close. That's what, wouldn't you want a man like that? A man that doesn't care about you wouldn't, I mean, in my opinion, wouldn't think twice about that. I mean,
Right.
some men, they still care and they'll probably have you check in, yada, yada, but still they're doing that because they feel the pressure from you and society and everything else. And I just think it's pretty selfish to not really consider and sit down with him and consider his feelings.
Right.
And then something that I didn't get to speak on was I think it also raises red flags of the type of woman you are. And I'm not saying this for all women. Not every woman has those intentions, but women love attention. We
Mm-hmm.
like if our husband, if he wanted to punish us, all he had to do was remove his attention from us, and we're like, pay
Yeah.
attention to me. That is something that even as little girls, we've always wanted daddy's attention. We always
Mm-hmm.
wanted that validation from the man in our lives. So
Right.
when you are out and away from your husband, you're getting that from other men, whether you want it or not. That is something that's going to happen, especially when you're with other women. You're dolled up, you're looking good, you're probably drinking, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
get that attention. And as a wife, you would think that you wouldn't want to even put yourself in a place where you have to dodge men. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? But to put yourself in a place where you have to dodge them all the time, I
Mhm.
believe is a red flag for most men who are wise.
Right. Right. Thank you for that. That's
Yeah,
woo, girl, you gave
that
it
was
straight up
yeah.
chaser. She said, bottom line is selfish. Okay, I'm gonna let
Yeah, I agree.
But
Mhm.
my dad mentioned the same word too. He also said that it was selfish. Now, one thing I want to say too is that now, because I focus more on holding women accountable because I feel like women aren't held as accountable as men. It doesn't mean that I don't see stuff that men are doing, but they've been held accountable for years, whereas women have been able to kind of, get away with things. You ask them questions, it's rude. You're not supposed to ask a woman this and that and this and that. You got to tiptoe around women, but men, it's like we can just call them a dirty, low down dog, but you can't say that to a woman. So, with that being said, there there's an aspect of this where men do need to be held accountable because they did not stand firm in in how they truly feel, and they are um, allowing shaming to stop them from voicing how they really feel. That's kind of why we have this problem. Because like I told my dad, I'm like, hey, dad, why am I just now finding out about this? My mom has traveled away from us almost my whole life to pursue her business. She did a lot of work out of town. I've never heard you say anything negative about it. I don't, to my knowledge, I don't remember you pulling me to the side and saying, hey, this is not a good thing. So I was raised in an environment where my mom would leave town and nobody ever told me it was wrong. So what does Ashley do when she gets older? She doesn't see anything wrong with it, and she does the same thing. I only found out this information, guys, because of the situation that happened with my friend, and I called my dad to talk about it because I dug for the answers. That's how I got the answers. And so my dad said, yeah. And, a lot of men, unfortunately, were all affected by feminism in some kind of way, not just the women. Am I frozen, guys? Am I frozen?
No.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
You're
you
not
did.
frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My screen everyone was frozen for a second.
Oh
Okay.
no, you did.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So my dad told me that not only have women been affected by feminism, but men have also been affected by feminism. So the reason why men are afraid to speak up is because of this matriarchal society that we live in, where women have this chokehold on what you can say and what's okay and what's not okay. Men have really lost their power over the years. And that's why we're in the situation where, the only time where, you'll have most of them keeping it real is at a barbershop. But to tell your wife straight up that, hey, like, I don't like girls trips. I don't ever want you to go on one. I mean, that would be so rare, for a man to say that. So it's unfortunate, but I did want to say that about men. And if you're a man and you're watching this and you feel deep down, I don't like the idea of girl trips, but I've been making myself okay with it. You need to talk to your wife about that. No more being silent, man, because what happens is is when men are being silent about it, and women get to go on these girl trips, all you guys are doing you're internalizing it. And so it doesn't go anywhere. It only affects other areas of the relationship. So you may think consciously or subconsciously, well, man, if she get to do that, then I'm gonna do this. And I'm not gonna care as much about that. It affects other areas that we may not be aware of. Unexplainable things that women we may talk about amongst each other, like, girl, he used to do this, he used to do that, he doesn't do this anymore. You ever wonder, like, why? I think we just attribute it to, because we've been together maybe 5-6 years, maybe that's just why he doesn't do it anymore. We just assume that we maybe understand why he doesn't do it anymore, or we don't know why he doesn't do it anymore, but maybe it could have something to do with the way that we're moving. And maybe he now sees us differently when he sees us acting selfishly, So that's scary to me because it's invisible. You do something like that, he says he's okay with it, other areas of your relationship are affected, it's unexplainable, and you just don't know what it is, where it came from. You don't know how to trace it back to its origin so you can fix it. That's what happens when men just leave things unsaid. So like I said, to round out my point, men in the chat, if you are watching, if you feel some type of way about the things that your wife is doing, please speak up. It doesn't go anywhere. You have to speak up, and we have to make that more normal. Men standing firm on how they truly feel, regardless of what shaming tactic we throw. It don't matter what we say. You're insecure, you're controlling. Oh, you should just trust me. You don't trust me. It doesn't. We're going to be throwing all kind of emotional weapons at you to make you agree to what we want to do. Don't fall for it. This is coming from a woman now. So so I want to ask well, let me read some comments first, really quick, as I got another question for you ladies. B9 says, what I don't understand is, don't wives want to have sex in a beautiful new place? How do you leave hubby behind? That was B9. That was like the question I was going to ask next. I'll just go ahead and ask it. Why? So for you guys, you ladies on the panel, why do you think that women have a desire to get away from their husbands? Because like B9 said, why don't you want to experience the Maldives, Bora Bora, Bahamas? Why don't you want to experience these places with your husband? Why are you trying to get away from your husband and experience it with other women? And I'll start with you, Miss Skinny. Why do you think that is?
I would definitely have to say that it's because they feel like their husband doesn't meet all of their needs. They feel like they can't get what they're looking for from their husband, or like their husband wouldn't give them what they want in that scenario. So like, let's say you're going to the Maldives. Well, I don't know where that is. Let's say you're going to the Dominican Republic, because I know that the place is hot. So let's say you're going there and you want to wear, you just lost a lot of weight and you want to wear that cool skimpy bikini, or you want to wear that nice tight fitting dress, and your husband's not going to go for that. So you got to go with your friends, because they're going to gas you up and tell you how great you look, and you might get some attention by some fine Spanish man. And you're gonna feel like, oh, this is great. This is like, I feel like I'm a new person. And so you might not want to go with your husband because you can't have the fun that you think that you're gonna have out there. You can't do all the sin that you want to do with your husband around that you could do with your friends. So that's probably a big reason for a lot of women. Or maybe their husband just is not as social as they are. Like, I know my husband and he's not as social as I am, but I mean, I would like to still experience things with him, even if we're in a hotel room, or even just a little bit, like, you should want to see things with your husband. He's the most important person to you.
Right. Good point. What about you, Miss Ty? Why do you think that women want to take these vacations without their husband?
Because they're still trying to live out a single life. They missing being single. They missing doing all the girls things that the girlfriends are doing. So that's why. Because you take hubby, you kind of on the leash a little bit. Can't do all that.
Yeah.
But when you're with, just your girls, you can live out that fantasy of being, because I hear a lot of, sometimes I hear these ladies that get married, and they would say, sometimes I miss being single because, I used to have fun. I used to do this. I used to do that. So I think a lot of times that's what these ladies are using this girl trip thing is, to kind of relive with the times when you were carefree, you didn't have any kids, you didn't have a husband, you had to worry about cooking and cleaning and none of that. Just
Mm,
go and have fun, be wild or whatever. So I think that's one of the reasons.
okay. I I would agree. I would agree, Miss Ty. Because even when one of my friends was talking about doing a girl trip, those things they did cross my mind.
Mhm.
The things that we would do, and some of those things are things that I wouldn't like, you know, be doing with my husband. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
wearing sexy stuff, like going to different lounges, maybe a club, those things cross your mind. When you think of a girls trip, you're thinking of things that I would, that you, because you kind of fantasize about it a little bit. You fantasize what's going to happen, going on this girls trip. And these are things that if you were with your husband, you wouldn't be doing those things. So, of course I decline, because, I learned my lesson, no more for me. But yeah, Miss Ty, I absolutely agree that I think that it's more so a fantasy. You miss those times, like when you were in college, when you were in your early 20s, and you just was free. You didn't, there was no rules. You can do whatever you want. And that could be one of the downfalls of this lifestyle of girls in their 20s having so much fun, because then when you become married you have something to compare it to, versus like if you go back in ancient times when women were not doing any of this stuff and they just got married young and stayed married, they didn't have anything to compare it to, but the system and the way we do things now, we think, oh yeah, we can just get it out of our system and then get married and then it'll all be fine. But then it turns out that it's not fine. You end up wanting to go back to it. Family values. Why do you think that women want to vacation without their husbands? What's your theory?
I mean, you guys hit it on the nail. Like you said, it comes back down to getting away with things that they wouldn't usually be able to get away with if their husband was there, because he would most likely check that. Like, you're probably going to be a whole different person, you know, when you're away from him, because this is your time to let loose. This is your time to be free. It's a self-seeking, selfish move.
Mm,
And I like what Jenny said. Like, you get to do things that you would not be able to do if your husband is there. You get to wear skimpier outfits, and trust me, your girlfriends, they're gonna hype you up, even if you didn't want to and you planned on being the same woman that
mm,
you are with your husband. They are going to push you and peer pressure you and make you seem boring and lame and prude if you're not doing what they're doing.
mm,
So a lot of people would say, well, it depends on who you're with and what kind of friends you have. But at the end of the day, I understand the nature of woman because I am one. And
mhm.
there's tons of temptation for us. It's everywhere. It's easy for us. It's extremely
Yeah,
easy for us.
yeah.
So it's like you're going to be dodging temptation after temptation after temptation. And then once you get them drinks in you, you know, you may, oh, it won't be as bad if I go to this VIP area where these guys are. We're just chopping it up. We're just talking, and you think it's innocent, and you keep making excuses for yourself, and the line keeps getting crossed over
Mm,
and over, and then you end up in a situation where you're like, oh my God, how am I going to explain this to my husband? Because you can't. And now you got to keep all this stuff to yourself. And it's not good. It's just not safe to do that.
yeah. And something you said about watching the friends that you bring with you, it's hard to do that because these are already your friends, and you don't know what they're going to be like when you go on this trip with them. Like I'll give y'all an example, a quick example. I had just a simple girls' night out one time. I was with 3 women. They were all married. We were on the expressway. We we're on our way to the movie theater, and there was a car that like zoomed by. And one of my friends, and I can say this because, don't matter if she watching because we ain't friends no more anyway, but she rolled down her window and like stuck her head out. She was like, okay, daddy. And she's like, girl, speed up, speed up. And I'm in the back like, what? Speed up to do what? And I was so shocked because I'd never seen that side of her before. I never saw that side. So I was just kind of shocked. Like my heart was beating. Like, is she joking? Is she serious? And she was really trying to get this guy's attention. Now, guys, this is somebody who I thought, to what people are saying, oh, it just depends on your friends and the company you keep. See, you can believe that your friends are just fine until you get in that situation. And let's be honest, when they do stuff like that, it's not like you cutting them off that night and never speaking to them again. Nope, you keep them same friends by your side and you overlook it. You overlook those red flags, same way you overlook red flags when you're dating men, maybe the man that you're married to. Red flags that you looked over and you proceeded into the marriage and y'all like 5-6 years in. We do the same things with our friends. They'll show us red flags and we'll still keep them around. We'll just overlook it, So because
I have another example of things you should watch out for. So I had this some friend, that I knew for like maybe 10 years or so. And so she came to New Orleans, so she didn't have a place yet. So she was staying with me until she found a place or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know that, she likes the other side. Until one day she was like, I really think, you're so beautiful and I could just kiss you. Girl. So like for 10 years I've been done it. So she was like, saying how much she was like, in love with me for all the time. But that's my friend though, my girlfriend though. So yeah, you gotta watch out for that too. So you go on a girls trip and then you get all drunk and then next thing you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was like someone who you think is your friend, like that's so weird. Exactly. That's so weird. Let me read a few of these comments, guys. I want to get Primal Studies up here. I am like dying for some testosterone on this panel. So how the men really feel and how he feels about it. So really quick, Andrea Jones says, hello, sister. Why not plan couples trips and enjoy spending time with your married friends? And you can have a little more safety in the group. Absolutely, Andrea. Either you and your husband, or if you do want to go with your friends, just invite them and their husbands. So you're still able to explore these places with your friends. It's just now your husbands are there, and they don't feel like bad and left out at home, because they're with you. Driscoll TV says, my wife travels nowhere without me. There's not an opportunity in the world that I'm afraid for her to miss. Anything for her will fit within our spectrum. Thank you for that, Driscoll TV. Primal Studies, who's about to come up, if it doesn't sit well with it will make resentment grow most likely. So I'm guessing you meant your husband. If it doesn't sit well with your husband, it will make resentment grow. Absolutely. Miss She says, I don't even get invited because all my friends know I do not want to go without my husband, as they should. Miss She said, if them friends don't know how,
they don't have to invite me nowhere. But say
no. They should absolutely know. Let me see. Barbara Hagen says, yes, invisible wounds are different. Yeah, I love the way you put that. Like when it's invisible, it's hard to fix something that's invisible. And because men they're not emotional. They're not to sit around and talk about, oh, when you did this, it really made me feel this way. And I just feel like, no, that's not who they are. So men, they'll hold it inside and there will be problems as a result of that. But it's hard to pinpoint what it is and fix it. So it's harder to fix those problems. So ladies, this is something that you want to be really careful. This ain't something that you just handle all willy-nilly and just do whatever you want, because you could be looking at a divorce down the line in the future. So thank you, Barbara Hagans. Francesca McNair says, right, most of the time I want my man with me, as you should. Altaviz Amor, totally agree with you, Ashley. Y'all, I thought we was gonna get jumped today. I'm so glad that a lot of y'all are on the same page. B9.
B9, I cannot. I cannot B9.
We are not doing this with you, B9.
No more details, B9. We not friends no more.
Okay, Mion Burnett says, how you go out of town not knowing your friends? That mean that y'all don't hang out at home? That sound like a work friend who you just invited out. No, Mion, it's just that sometimes when women are put in different environments, that's when you see different sides of them. So like my friend who the car zoomed by and she was like, oh, okay, daddy. We were never in, that was, you know what? That was our first girls' night out. That was our first girls' night out. Now, when we were other places together, I never saw that side of her. We always had our kids together. We were doing play dates. We were, talking on the phone and stuff. This was our first girls' night out. So now she's being put in a different environment. And in that environment, I got to see another side of her. So Mion, it might just be that, not that, well, technically, yeah, you kind of don't know your friend, but this part, it's not a result of you, like you haven't been paying attention to them. It's just they haven't shown you a particular side because, the environment wasn't right for that kind of behavior. So it depends. So guys, I want to go ahead. I want to bring up Primal Studies. We were supposed to have another guy, but I don't think he's going to make it tonight. But I'm grateful for this one here. Hi, Primal Studies. How are you?
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for bringing me up. How you all doing tonight?
We're doing well.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Interesting conversation. I know this is maybe the second or third grouping that I've kind of heard their take on it. So it's good to hear different perspectives on this conversation.
Absolutely. And I heard you on a men's panel last week, and I remember you had gotten through one point. There was another point, and you got off, and I didn't. And I'm like, what was this other point?
I know, right? So I write stuff down because I know I've learned on these YouTube panels and treats that it's often that you'll be mid-sentence or mid-thought, and then with some of the bigger panels, somebody else will jump in, and then it kind of goes off the rails, and maybe you don't get back to it. So I try to write them down, so if I get the opportunity to go back to it later, I can. But yeah, so I have some of that from the other day. A lot of this conversation comes down to, I think there's a good point that was illustrated earlier, and it's what is a girl's trip? Because I wouldn't call going with your mom or maybe like your sister and your kids away for a weekend to the beach, I wouldn't call that a girl's trip in my eyes. When I think of a girl's trip, I envision 4 or 5 single-ish ladies going out to Vegas for the weekend, or going to New York, or going to Atlanta, or going to Chicago, or something like that, where they're going to be in the club, probably not wearing a whole lot of clothing, interacting with a lot of people, and probably getting a lot of attention from men. That's what I would call a girl's trip, in my opinion. Is everybody kind of seeing that delineation between the two?
Right. Yeah. There's a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that most reasonable men, if you were saying, hey, I'm going with my mom and my sister away to the beach for a weekend, they're probably like, yeah, cool, whatever, no big deal. Now, if you're having a girl's trip, like I kind of laid out there, most men are not really going to be feeling that. And a lot of men will not be comfortable saying that they aren't feeling it because they're afraid of losing the relationship. So they fear that if they say, hey, I don't like that, then like you all or everybody pretty much said, a lot of the shaming language might come out of, oh, you're controlling, or you're jealous, or you just don't want me to have fun, or these kind of things. And I think that's unfair because there's a lot of men out there that feel like maybe they're just barely hanging on to some of these relationships, and they're kind of, if I tell her no to this, then she's going to be out. And they operate from a place of fear, and it's sad to see it, but that's what I see out in the world is a lot of men are kind of afraid of losing their relationship, and they're afraid to put their foot down, which is funny because to be a leader, that's what you actually need to do is put your foot down.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, in Primal, it's like my dad was saying, you know, even men have been affected by feminism. I think we looked at it like it's just something that women have been affected and influenced by, but feminism, it's actually weakened men as well, you know, especially when you have single mom raised men. You know, it is hard to put your foot down because you've had a woman kind of lord over you your whole life, you know, so you haven't had an example of being with a man in the house, a grown man, and watching how a grown man moves in his house. And you're not watching, well, hopefully we're talking about real men, you're not watching your mom lord over your dad and control your dad. You're watching your dad put your foot down, and you take that with you when you get married. You know, you tend to take on those similar traits of your dad. But after feminism, when women feel more free to leave their husbands and just take the children or just have babies and raise the children, you know, now you think of when they have boys, what kind of boys, you know, does this produce? Does it produce the kind of boys that know how to, you know, kind of put women in their place and stand up to women and stand firm on what they believe in? Or, you know, being that you've had your life run by a woman your whole life, how does that translate into your next relationship, your marriage? Is this masculinity a thing that just clicks on when you're a grown man, or do you take some of those habits and those traits that you kind of, you know, adopted, you know, in your childhood, and you just take that into the next relationship, you know? And this is, you know, rhetorical.
There's a lot of truth in that. There's a lot of truth in that. And I think one of the most dangerous things out in the world, and I didn't realize until later in my life, but I honestly think one of the most dangerous pieces of relationship advice somebody might hear is happy wife, happy life. Ooh. For men, that is one of the most dangerous pieces of relationship advice you will ever hear. Because I'll tell you what will happen. I'll tell you what will happen is you will spend years trying to give your wife everything she wants. You'll make all sorts of concessions. You'll do all these things. You'll move mountains. And then at the end of the day, she'll get bored with you. He'll just do whatever I want, so it doesn't matter. I can totally control him. And then they lose respect for you along the way of you're just like their pawn in this game of chess.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest lies I feel like they're in the worst pieces of relationship advice men can get is happy wife, happy life. It's more like you can build a happy life together. But if you spend your whole life trying to make her happy, you're going to end up miserable.
Mm. That's so true. We can validate that because we're women that you do, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you do tend to lose some respect when your man, when his purpose is on just making you happy, because you lose appreciation for the things that he does to make you happy. It's like a spoiled child, because I'm an only child. I was spoiled. It was my mom who spoiled me. But after a while, the things that she was doing for me, I just didn't appreciate them anymore. The same thing happens as we're adults. You know, when our husband just gives us everything that we want, and we know that his life goal is to make us happy, we start to lose appreciation for those things that he's doing. And we start to lose respect for him, you know, after a while. Do you ladies agree with that?
Yes, I totally agree. Not only is the respect lost, the attraction is lost. You're not as attracted to a man who's a yes man. And men need to understand, like, that's why women go through phases. I want a bad boy. You know, they want to date the guys that'll put you in your place. And you can still be a good guy, but still have structure. Women need structure, and that is a turn on for women, whether we like to admit that or not. It is. If we have a yes man, a rollover man, the next dominant man that walks by is going to be a lot more attractive than you are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Family values, that's a good point, because like respect and attraction go hand in hand. Matter of fact, you can have a gorgeous husband, but if he's not a real man, you will lose that attraction toward him. Women,
Yeah.
we love strong men, we love dominant men. We don't want men that we can just push around. And even when women say it, and I know y'all can agree with me on this, a lot of women will defend the nice guys and say, no, no, they're fine. This is what we want. That's not what divorce rates say.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
so and that when
A
you
lot, a
get
lot of people will they'll yell, "Where are all the nice guys at?" But they're not picking the nice guys. Let's just keep it a buck here.
right, and even if they do pick the nice guys, what happens
They
to
end
the
up leaving.
relationship?
They end up leaving.
Yeah.
They
Right.
get bored.
They run right over them. Like,
Yeah, the nice guys are paying alimony. That's where they are.
yeah.
And my
And
And,
child,
husband calls.
and speaking of paying, I want to give acknowledgments to B9 coming up here because I want to be respectful of that. But speaking of paying, not everybody has unlimited time and unlimited resources to go on all the trips they want, right? You can't just, not everybody can just go on a trip every month or every couple months. So between you and your husband or you and your boyfriend or whatever the situation is, if you're going on a girls' trip, is that taken away from a trip y'all maybe could have taken together too?
Mm.
point, right?
Spitting.
So if you have to choose between going on a girls' trip and going on a fun getaway weekend with your boyfriend or your husband, can you really do both? Or are you cutting out one for the other? Just kind of something to think about.
That is because a lot of us ain't rich, you know, we can only afford so many vacations a year. So yeah, that takes money to go on these girls trips. So you are taking money out of like a vacation fund to be with your friends, you know. So that's a really good point. B9, if you're there, we want to get your perspective on it.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think about
How's everybody doing?
hey,
Primal Studies, what's up, my guy? Nice to hear your perspective on things. I have one question for you, Primal Studies, because you are kicking some facts, and I love what you said. Are you married, sir?
Nope. I have been, but I'm no longer. So I'm a former MVP of marriage, but the title's been passed down. So I'll put it this way: I've learned from mistakes I've made along the way. So I feel like I can actually offer up some insights of places where I stumbled, because when I talked about happy wife, happy life, that was my story. I did everything I thought I could to chase after somebody else's happiness, but I ended up tearing the house down in the process.
wow.
So
I appreciate your candor, sir. And but and now I have one last question for the ladies. I'll spit after I get the answer to this from you all. What do you think makes you ladies different? Because you all know the respect that I have for you all and your philosophy, and how you are the outlier to today's modern woman, but still are as beautiful, if not more beautiful, than today's modern woman. But that's the catch right there, is that a lot of these people that are speaking the same way you speak, you can pick them out in a big crowd. You women fit in like Where's Waldo in the modern woman world, yet you have a different mentality. So I'm curious to know what in your life happened, and I know the answers will be different for each one of you, but what happened in your life to make you these unicorns that are before me right now?
Okay, let's start with you, family values.
It was my husband. He was brutally honest with me from the very get-go. He put me up on game. He told me, he opened his mind and heart up to me and showed me the insides of a man. And he allowed or taught me to understand why it is he didn't like certain things, or why this changed, or he may have behaved differently. And I'm like, why are you acting this way? And it's like, well, you did this the other day. And he took the time to explain that this is why. And although I didn't quite understand, I took the time to learn and understand. And then what happened was because I seen so much value in him, I was able to deal with it. I just thought I had the different man, right? But then Kevin Samuels came out and the manosphere opened up and all his thoughts were aligning with what tons of men were saying. And I'm like, I don't have a different man. He just wasn't afraid to be honest with me. Most men just didn't have the platform, or they were afraid to speak on these things. Now we have platforms and men are speaking up about it, and I'm like, okay, my man isn't that much different than any other man. I thought I just had the difficult man, but no, he just is. This is just the nature of a man. And I took the time to really understand him because I seen value in him and I wanted to be with him.
Awesome.
So before the other ladies answer, I just want to follow up with family values real quick, because you said something interesting. It appears that from what you said, and I'm not judging you because the results are there. The bottom line is there. There's no question about that. But off of what you said, it seems like you were saying it was kind of conditional, and that the right man helped you get there. Because if that's the case, how did you get married in the first place if you made this transition because of your husband?
Well, he definitely didn't talk about marriage until after he seen that I was willing to mold to what he wanted in me.
Okay.
So he wasn't silly. He was very wise. He talked to me and he seen how I responded. And I worked on those things. I grew up with a single mother, so I didn't have a father around to teach me these things. So he basically fathered me during our dating season. And once he realized, okay, I can work with her, she's willing to learn, she's willing to listen to me, that's when, I got married and I learn every day. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning, but he's there to say, okay, no, that's not okay. And he explains. And if he's already explained, he'll let me know, I've already talked to you about this. You need to do some self-reflection. And that's the difference when you have a man that's willing to be dominant and honest, that they're able to lead and mold their women into what it is that they want.
Okay. And you lead me back to my original question that I'm trying to really get deep into, and this is for all the ladies. Most men, and not all men, but most men that are the men that you all are looking for, have that same approach. Like how you said family values, it took you, Kevin Samuels, to realize that your man wasn't an outlier. He was just an outlier as far as being upfront and brutally honest, but he wasn't thinking any different than other men. So if most men are telling their women that, and that means that most women are saying, shove it up your ass, or I'm too powerful for this, or I'm too strong for this, or my mama didn't raise me like this. That's the part that I want to know from all of you ladies. What made you different where you said, I better listen to this man. I better take advantage of this opportunity. Like this is the train that's going to get me to the promised land. What is that? That's what I'm trying to pinpoint, because I see it in all of you when you speak and how you carry yourselves. But like I said, you look no different than the girls that are on IG twerking. So if I didn't know you and I saw you twerking, it wouldn't shock me, just because you don't stand out anyway. But when you open your mouth and I hear the philosophies that you have, that's what truly says, wait a minute. They look like modern women and they got the same beauty and the same glamour, but they're traditional women. They're the best of both worlds. So what makes that a reality where you're not like the other women and say, man, shut the fuck up, dude. Who are you talking to like that?
Language.
Oh no, we can't be doing that.
Understand my point.
Okay, but I'm gonna just say my part and then I'm gonna stop. Like the comment says, I think they found a man worth respecting. I found someone who was respectable. I could respect him. I could be led by him with a blindfold on, and I would trust where he would lead me. He was my problem solver. He walked into my life and solved problems for me. So it was the value that he brought that made it worth the sacrifice.
Miss Kenny, how about you?
Well, for me, it's a couple different things, but I would have to say that the very first thing is that I was actually raised by a single parent, but that parent was my dad, which is very uncommon, as you guys can imagine. And so I was raised by my dad. My dad is really old, not just like by parent standards, but so I just turned 24, and my dad, he will be 84 in December.
Wow.
So he is like old school, and my dad is also a pastor. So, I had all these things kind of working in my favor, thankfully, of being led by a man, being led by a man who has traditional values, and then being led by a man who's godly. And after that, because a lot of women have dads that are pastors, and then you have that stereotypical pastor's daughter trope where she's like wild and crazy. But I don't know. I mean, after that, after being raised by my dad and becoming an adult who can make decisions for herself, I would say that the thing was that I really believed in what I was raised in. Like, I am my husband would say that I'm a religious zealot. So I mean, I truly believe the Bible, and I believe every single word of it. And I believe that I'm supposed to be a Proverbs 31 woman, and I believe that I'm supposed to be modest and have shamefacedness and be submissive. And I listen to pastors who preach like that, and I surround myself with women who think like that as well in my real life. And so it's just a culmination of things in my life. Like, I just happen to come across different things, like different teachers. Like one pastor that I really enjoy, his name is Stephen Anderson, and he preaches like that, and he preaches fundamental values, really strict biblical values. And I guess I'm just I really subscribe to that. So I'm a fundamentalist, and I believe in fundamental things, and thankfully it led me to this community and all you wonderful people.
Awesome. What about you, Miss Ty? Why are you a unicorn?
Oh, so my story is similar to Kenny's, but a little bit different. So I'm different because I was raised by my mother and father. And my mother and father, they're traditional and military and a pastor. So I had the military training, then I had the, spiritual thing on top of each other. But the one thing that made me different is what my mother taught me. My mother taught me from when I was little how to nurture and take care of the family. When it was dinner time, it was my job to serve the brothers, and she taught me to respect and honor your husband and his authority just by watching her, how she maneuvered in the church, how she maneuvered at home. And it's all about respect. So because I was taught to respect the man of the house by how I grew up, it overflowed into my adult life and how I deal with my fiance. So it's like, it was built in me to be this way. I just grew up. My mom, this is what my mom taught me to be. I was raised to be a wife.
Awesome. For me, it was my dad. My mom is my mom's a feminist, y'all. For some of y'all who are watching, y'all are coming over from her page. My mom is she's an influencer. She's a Facebook chef. She's got over 300,000 followers, and I'm grateful that some of you are coming over from her page to support me. But even I've heard some people on her page say that y'all are, so opposite, even though we work together. We work well together business wise. When you start to, talk about the philosophies and the values and stuff, we are completely different. So my dad was very traditional, whereas my mom, with her being lesbian, she has felt that way for a long time. My dad knew this, but because there was me, I'm an only child, he did not want me to not grow up in a 2-parent household. So he stuck it out. And they didn't see eye to eye. They didn't get along. So my dad kind of checked out of the marriage, but he was still there for me. And he still stood up against what my mom was allowing me to do. It was the friends that I was hanging out with. He would say that, all this baby fat and Rockaware clothes, the old urban streetwear. He would stand up against that. Like, no, she just needs basic clothes from Walmart. School is not a fashion show. She's supposed to be focused on her grades and passing school. And like I said, her philosophy was that I should be able to choose my own friends. His philosophy was that she should not be able to choose her own friends. She does not have a good judge of character. She's fighting in school. These little ghetto girls at school, this is a result of her choosing her own friends. So all this back and forth, the differences of opinion. When I got older, I saw that my dad was right about everything. The friends that I was allowed to choose almost got me in a lot of trouble, even killed, because some of the places that we went where there were shootouts and stuff, like people were dying, and I could have been one of those people. So I view my dad as so valuable, and he really helped to kind of mold me into the woman I am today. And this is why, as a Black woman, I can say the things that I say about Black women that are uncommon. It's uncommon for Black women to stand up and say, hey guys, we have an issue. These are some of our issues. We're this, we're that, we're this, we're that. It was because when I was little and like Ricky Lake or Maury or whatever daytime television shows will be on the TV, he would point out, like the ghetto loud Black woman, he would point out characteristics and he would shame those characteristics in front of me. And so as I'm watching him do this, I'm thinking, oh, okay, so this is a bad thing. So as I kind of grew up around him and was hearing some of the things he was saying, the things he didn't like, I kind of naturally, took some of those things in. And so that's kind of where the, why I did a panel, Ms. Ty let me host a panel, and I said, sorry about that, guys. What white women understand that most Black women do not. I should have dedicated it to my dad because he really helped me to become aware of things. Like the Black women that I was surrounded around, he would, to illustrate it, kind of yank me out of that circle and help me to see it from a distance. We would analyze things from a distance. Like, do you see that? Do you see that? Unacceptable. Look at how she looks. Look at how she sounds, And I was able to see it from a different angle versus like when you're a little Black girl and you're in these Black woman circles, you don't see anything wrong with it unless somebody takes you out of it and helps you to see the problem, So that's, it's a long way of answering the question, B9, but I would definitely say that my dad is the reason why I'm more unicorn like, and he really saved my life. I really owe him so much, and to what Miss Guinea was saying, and the Bible too. That's how I was raised. My dad was a very spiritual man. I thank him to this day because he has helped me to see things like my reasoning. Beyond the reason you love me so much, it is my dad. Even people that have known him for years, when they hear me speak now, they're like, man, that's Raymond. That's Raymond. You little Raymond. Like, that is your dad, because we are so much alike. So for those of you who are watching or coming from my mom's page, that may be something you didn't know. You can clearly see the dichotomy between me and my mom. But if you guys met my dad, me and my dad, we are the best of friends. We can sit on the phone, talk for hours about politics, Black women and how crazy they are. Like, we talk about all these things. We're like so alike. So yeah, B9.
Like me and OG dad.
But thank you all for answering it, and you know how I am, Miss Ty. You know, I sometimes I take the scenic route to get to the same finish line. And I'm so happy that all of you answered, because I noticed that each one of you come from a different background. But the common thread in all of your answers was the respect that you have for family. And that was the thing that I noticed when High Values and Family Values was having the original conversation on a different platform.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that those that truly value family were against the wives and the girls' trips, but those that didn't really understand or put the value on family that you do, they put the value on either their friends, themselves,
Yes.
the experience. They
Mm.
all of these different value systems that lead up to their rationale of why they can do what they want to do when they want to do it. And it's so sad, because at the end of the day, you're ultimately saying, I'm choosing my travel agent over my husband.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. And women today, Benign, they're very individualistic. And so they do naturally think me first. I think there was a time where women didn't think that way. They thought of us as a unit, me and my husband, you know. But I think that, you know, for the women on the panel, you guys get it. But for the women watching, you know, y'all can be just as red pilled as men. Just like, you know, the red pill is about men coming into like an awakening about, you know, the truth about women and how they've been gaslighted and manipulated. A lot of us have too. And then we become red pill because now we see, oh my gosh, I have also as a woman been manipulated by women. A quick example is what about that one man I had and how I dropped all my friends for him, and they shamed me into paying less attention to him and more attention to them. Like, dang girl, so you just get a man and you just going, wow, so you just gonna leave us? Wow, I can't stand women like you that are just will just drop your friends, you know, just for a man. You're going to drop your friends for a man. You're just going to forget about, you know, and when you hear that, because this happened to me, I honestly thought, oh, okay, like, you know, you feel bad. And so that's kind of how men feel when they get shamed. It's like, okay, whoa, am I not supposed to be? You know, women have gone through the same thing. We also have to realize, and this is why I said on Black Men Unfiltered's panel, that for the women watching, I hope y'all aren't listening. I wasn't trying to be rude, but the stuff that they were saying, it reminded me of these women groups where everyone's given their opinion, and the woman, that one woman in there that's kind of learning, she's taking in the opinions of women, and she's allowing that to mold her. I'm saying is step outside of women and also talk to men to get men's perspectives. Unless you're gay, if you are a lesbian, by all means focus on women. But if you ultimately want a relationship with a man, if you want to be together with a man for the rest of your life, then you would do well to seek the opinions of men, because men are more alike than they are different. So that this whole girls trip nonsense, it started with my dad. He told me the right answer, and I confirmed that answer to be right with my husband. So even if I never confirmed with my husband whether my dad was right or wrong, just listening to my dad with him being a man, he gave me the right answer, and that would have been the right advice, even though they're two separate men. So don't let women tell you, oh, just focus on your men. They don't know what they're we don't know what we're talking about as women. There's so much we don't know, and we are so arrogant and full of ourselves and self-centered that we think that our opinion just stands. Some of the things that I heard on that panel, no, just focus on your man. The man just told your man could be lying to you and saying that girls' trips are okay when they're really not. But what you just followed up with is focus on your man. Like you didn't hear him say that their men could be lying to them. But this is what happens when you listen to women. And this is why when I was talking to my dad, I realized I have got to stop listening to women. I need to listen to men, and I will create a platform that will help women to seek wiser counsel than women. So
And my last point, y'all can rock out on this. Think about the women that did not have the family influence that you all had. Crazy. You got, because everybody's
Say that again. Slight echo.
sorry. Is that better?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, the issue is that I think somebody probably has to mute themselves. I think I'm reverbing.
Hold on.
Is
Okay.
that better? Or am I still just as bad? All right. So the issue is that these young women today, they're into their red bottom shoes, they're into their lashes and the gel this and the Yaki number 5 that or whatever, and the lashes, exactly, family values. And we're not pinpointing where all this stuff came from. Television, movies, the media, because our generation of parents had to work so many hours. They used to sit us in front of the TV and let the TV raise us. And when I see these women today, I make the parallel to Sex in the City, because that's what every woman wants to be today. That is the new standard of the modern woman. And the best thing that a man did on those shows was a human dildo. He had no his mentality, he was just there to provide the sex part for the Sex in the City. But it was all about the women. It was all about their plight. It was all about their happiness. And it was supposed to some way, somehow show that if you can make these 4 women happy, somehow you would have changed the whole world. All of society would have benefited from these 4 women getting to have all the promiscuous sex that they want to have, and then walk around and not be judged because of it. Look where it's gotten us in real life, ladies and gentlemen. Look what the people are telling you, even the wives. Don't judge me. Who are you? And I bring this up because of what you said, high value wives. This is the pushback that all you ladies are going to continuously get. Who the heck are you to tell me and this and that and that and this? Y'all are successful, happy wives. That's who you are. That's what you are. That's what qualifies you. But nobody wants to hear that. And like I said, I'm not judging anybody's situation. I could be divorced one day. As happy and as much as a proponent that I am for marriage, tomorrow is not promised. Yeah. For anybody. I might wake up different. My wife might wake up differently. The difference is that I'm man, just like primal studies, I'm man enough to handle it. I'm man enough where if it's not going to make or break me. And I hope that I've given her enough wisdom and enough guidance throughout our 21 years of marriage, where if she ever does decide to leave me, she has gotten enough guidance where she will be fine on her own. That's what it's all about. And so for those that are actually willing to take that guidance, whether it comes from a husband, your mother, your father, your uncle, your pastor, whomever. I said this before on Red Lipstick Vibe panel. It's not about finding good leaders. It's about finding good followers. We have a lot of good leaders out here. We don't have anyone that wants to follow behind that great leadership. They want to throw it back in your face. Well, if you a leader, lead. Moses led for how many years, how many months until people decided they were going to follow?
Yeah, absolutely.
And B9, I love what you said there, because you can be the best leader in the world, but if nobody will follow you, then are you really a leader?
Mic drop. Yeah. Well, guys, so we are we're over our hour. I just want to give you guys, by the way, I don't do 3, 4, or 5 hour panels, y'all. I try to keep mine at an
Come
hour.
on, Ashley. Yes, you gotta join the Come on, Ashley.
Sometimes I be seeing them 3, 4, 5 hour panels, and I be looking at the time. I'm like, do you
You
think
gotta join in the 9-hour fun.
no. We stay in the 1 hour realm over here. Okay? Because they're like, you know what? I don't mind giving 1 hour, but when they see 6 and 7, they're like, yeah, never mind. But anyway, so I just try to keep it at about an hour. I want to give you guys some closing thoughts. Miss Ty, what are your closing thoughts?
I would say to the married ladies, listen to your husband. Listen to the men around you that's giving you good counsel.
Yes.
If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Use discernment when you're dealing with, certain situations like this, girls trips and all that. And be careful of the people you're associated with as well.
Yes.
Because you never know, in different, like we were saying, different situations, that people are different. And, unfortunately, bad things can happen when you're with people that's doing, wild stuff. Just know that if your husband says no, it's not that he's insecure or he doesn't love you or don't want you to have fun. But like my fiance said, it's more about protection. If you're way across the country and something happens, he can't get to you. He can't save you. And that itself will weigh heavy on a real man because they are big on protecting their family. So that's my closing.
Absolutely. What about you, Miss Skinny? What are your closing thoughts?
2 quick things I want to just jump in with. The first thing about how, the company that you keep, that you might not always know exactly what your friends are like in all scenarios, is that I was in a situation years ago before I was married. We were, some friends of mine were all together. I had a friend who lived out of state and she came into town, so we all went out and we were all driving in the car. And one of our friends, and we were all friends from like high school, and she had gotten married. She was the first one in our group to get married, and she was saying how she was cheating on her husband because he was just boring, and she wanted to just have fun. And in high school, she wasn't unattractive, but the school that we went to, they didn't really no one was really checking for black girls, so she never had a boyfriend, and so she wasn't getting the attention that she wanted from men in high school. So she had grown up, and I guess now she had gotten married and she wanted all that attention. She wanted to have all that fun that she didn't get when she was in high school, so she was having it while she was married. And I felt gross, and I was like, you are actually fortunate enough to be married and I'm not married yet, and this is the things that you're giving to your husband. I was like, this is crazy. So there's that. And then lastly, going back to your point that you made, Ashley, about how your friends will say oh, you're choosing your man over us. We've known you, we've been friends since we were kids, and this is how you're going to treat us. And what that is that it's just selfishness masqueraded as loyalty, because loyalty is a virtue. Everyone wants to be loyal. But the thing is that it's not really loyalty. It's your friends trying to get you to do things that you're not comfortable with, or getting you to do things that you don't feel like are right, and they're trying to put up this front of, oh, well, we've known you for a long time, or oh, it's okay, we're really good friends. It's he just came along, and it's no, because at the end of the day, it's the man and the woman become one, not the woman and her friends.
Yes.
So even if the husband just popped up, he comes first, and that's just how it should be.
Absolutely. Family values?
To piggyback off of what you said, I've had to actually get rid of a friend that I've known since middle school. And, I stayed around because, I felt bad for her. Her husband had passed away and she just had been struggling. But since I met my husband, even while her husband was alive, she used to always try to shame me, you've changed. You're so different since you've met him. And I just wanted to say to you ladies, it's okay to change. It's okay to be different and lose a part of yourself when you become committed in a relationship or married, because you are now becoming one. A lot of times women say, don't lose yourself and don't do this, and try to make women feel bad for changing for their men. But that is how it's supposed to be. We are becoming one now. So it's okay to let go of your old self and become the new, better you, because you're going to be better with him. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I hate hearing don't lose yourself. And to an extent, I get maybe what they're trying to say, but it's become extreme to the point where this individuality that we spoke of the other day, you need to be an individual. No, I don't need to be an individual. I am now one with my husband. Everything that I do is a representative of him, and vice versa. So there is no individual anymore. It's three of us, me, him, and God. So I just wanted to say that.
Family values, girl. You said something that it's like I just had an aha moment, because when you become one, there are some, there's some things that kind of may fall apart in you when you're merging with somebody else, and it's so necessary. And thank you for pointing out the shaming that women do, because I too have heard that. I'm pretty sure everyone on this panel has heard, don't lose yourself over a man. And guess where this advice comes from? It comes from women. What man have you ever heard say that to women or another man? And don't lose yourself in the mirror. You don't. It comes from women. And women, look, we got some beautiful things about us, but leading and guiding, we don't have it. I'm telling you, if you guys really pay attention, you'll see that the advice that women give, it like 90% of it be nonsense, especially when it comes to marriage and relationships. Why? Because they don't know men. You cannot teach me how to be or how to understand my man when you're not a man, So I think family values, that was such a good point. And that's why I wanted to create this platform, was because I know that women are getting shamed. And I think that it's important to have a community of women who are like-minded, somewhere where you can come to and say, like, okay, this is more like it, and you can be sharpened, because iron sharpens iron. So we can all come together and stay together and keep each other encouraged. That will only, help us to have more success in our marriage. And that's what's going to make these kind of friendships more valuable, is because it adds more value to our marriage. Unlike other women who think the opposite, that's going to take away from your marriage. It's going to have you questioning your marriage. It's going to have you confused. Anyway, I didn't want to steal the mic. Family values. I love that you said that. And I will be clipping you up, by the way. So primal studies, closing thoughts.
Yeah. I really like this conversation. It's a good one. And to what you were just discussing, it's a mental frame shift. A lot of people are fearful of losing themselves, but they should be joyful about becoming something more than themselves. You're not losing yourself. You're becoming something more. Think of it that way. It's a frame of reference. And we talk about leadership and followers, lead, follow, or get out of the way. Those are your options. Those are your options if you want to find success in the world. So great discussion. I appreciate you coming up. Shameless plug for me. Sunday evenings, I do lots of fun conversations about fitness, finances, relationships, and mental health. So come check it out if you all like the content. I appreciate you having me up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Primal Studies. B9, closing thoughts?
Yes. Wonderful show, wonderful panel as usual, high value. Thank you so much for having this platform and having real dialogue and necessary dialogue that needs to be heard by the masses. The thing that I'm drawn to for right now is this new challenge that they have going out where, every mother is running up on their child talking about this lady outside trying to fight me and her kids outside fighting me. You gonna put your shoes on and go fight for mama and go protect your mama and this and that?
Yeah, real quick, like to the people who don't know B9, explain it, what the challenge is. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's basically a challenge where the mother is making this hypothetical scenario that another woman or group of people are outside their house or apartment trying to jump them for whatever reason. And they're trying to figure out their child has the quote unquote heart of a lion and is going to man up or woman up because they're asking their daughters this too. Not just their sons, they're asking their daughters this too. Are you willing to fight for mama? Are you willing to go out there and protect mama? And the reason that I bring this up is because all the stories that I heard from you ladies tonight, everything that Primal Study said was about true leadership, was about what your mother or your father did to protect you, to pour into you. Because the true leader understands that it's all about the follower. That's why women can't lead. Because when you give them the leadership position, they spend all their time, energy, and resources telling you and reminding you who the leader is. You as the follower have to do and what lengths you are willing to go through, even risking your life so that the leader can live on. But that's the funny part about it is that's the exact opposite of a leader. The true leader will lay down his life so that the follower can live. Yes. My wife, my children are my followers. Those are the first people that I will lay my life down for. That is what makes me different from you and all of these weak men out here that's looking for a partner. Because at the end of the day, they're looking for someone to glorify their name. They want to be God-like. They want to be Jesus-like because they actually want to be God or Jesus in their home. But they don't get it. God and Jesus get the praise that they get, or Allah, or whomever you worship, gets the praise that they get because they are worried about their followers. The creator is worried about what he created, not himself.
Yes. Come on.
So when you understand how the game works, now you know how to play it. But you don't even understand how the game works. You're moving your rook on the chessboard saying, king me. Good luck with that.
Thank you, B9. And man, thank you guys, all of you for joining me tonight. I love different perspectives in the realm of what's right, because you'll hear people, different perspectives, different opinions, but when they're all in different realms, some people are wrong and some people are right. But this is all in the perspective of what's right. And family values, you brought out, beautiful points, Miss Guinea, everybody, and to me, this is iron sharpening iron. It's, hey, I leave this panel better than what I came in. I feel smarter. I feel more motivated to go love on my husband. That's how I want women to feel when we congregate together. When you're congregating with women, you shouldn't feel like, man, like, am I missing something out here? Dang, like, I want to go to you shouldn't feel like that. You should feel more motivated. Your friend should almost be like a source of fuel for you. Like, I'm so grateful. I'm excited to go love on my family. I'm excited for what, I don't know, maybe family values would share with me some homeschool stuff that maybe she picked up. Like, oh, I can't wait to try that on my daughter. She's been struggling with the fives and the multiplication. Oh man, I'm gonna apply that. Or that's the beauty of having good association around you, because they truly make you better. So for the ladies watching, really watch your association. If you are married and you want to stay married, you need to watch your association. You need to get around women who think the same way. For women who are aspiring to be married, all marriages are not created equal. It goes without being said to stay away from, probably should stay away from single women. But even there are some married women who have flawed thinking. And for all of us, we saw it on the last panel. Those women were married and still their logic is faulty, to where if a married woman or a single woman follows their logic, it may not play out so well for them, you know? So you have to be careful, because not going on a girls' trip, let me say this, you can't go wrong not going on a girls' trip, but you can go wrong with going on a girls' trip. Whether your husband approves it or not, you can go wrong. So to give out blanket advice like, yeah, you should just be able to do it, you need a break, it can go wrong. But following the advice of you ladies, just probably shouldn't do it at all. You can't go wrong. Even if your husband says yes, is it worth the risk? These are things that you have to think about. Be about your husband. Life is not about your friends. Life is about your family. They come first. Stop placing friends over your family. Your friends are not more important than your family, nor are they just as important as your family. Your family is more important. You should be willing to sacrifice all of your friends for your family. Y'all can go today. I don't ever have to speak to any of you guys again if it comes down to my husband. And your husband needs to feel that. He needs to feel that no one comes before him. If you really want to unlock the keys to that love that you're craving from your husband, he wants that type of respect. He wants to know that you will drop anybody for him and that nobody's going to come first before him. So guys, those are my closing thoughts. Like I said, I want to thank everybody for coming up, guys. We have definitely gone over time. B9 Primal Studies, thank you guys. Your perspective means the world. Thank you for having the courage to speak up as men. To me, this is one of the pillars of being a real man. I'm not afraid to speak up. I don't care what a woman got to say about it. I don't care what a man has to say. This is how I feel. This is how I move. And I'm not going to let shame scare me away. So that really means the world. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. And for everyone in the chat, thank you guys for joining. I'm going to go ahead and drop everybody down. Thank you guys so much. Everyone have a good night. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, okay. All right, guys. Once again, thank you guys. Everybody who stuck with me through the whole stream, guys. Gregory Scotland, thank you so much. And I see you on other panels too, shouting me out. I really appreciate your support. Driscoll TV, thank you so much. Mr. He said, Barbara Hagens, thank you, Barbara. You were such a good sport, girl. I think you was feeling the way when you first came in, but thank you. Just thank you so much for just sticking around and just, hearing us out. And I hope to everyone watching, just learn to let's not be so stuck to our opinions. Let's really search for the answers. Let's understand that life ain't all about us. Life is about family. And that's what has to come first. So with that being said, guys, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. from this point on, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the stream, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you. Have a good night.